Well, hello. How are you? I hope you can hear and see everything okay. I've just got Lo-Fi's Pomodoro up for some background studying. I'll close that for now. Let's go look at GitHub. You're going to be expected to use GitHub, and when you go to it, let's show you in a different browser so I can show you what it looks like. Why do we use GitHub while I'm talking? There we go. Here you go. And you're going to either sign in or sign up. Sounds good. Why GitHub? GitHub is where you put your work. It's your work social media. It's everything. And the most important thing here is we're using GitHub by making repositories to track your information. And if you like video games, this gives you infinite save points. You got all the bonfires you need. You can always, if something breaks, back up to a previous commit. That is pretty useful stuff. All right, how do you use GitHub? There's a couple of ways. One thing I'd recommend, because of the three ways, I think GitHub Desktop is pretty great. If you want to install GitHub Desktop for whatever your machine is, yours will probably say Windows, and that will require you to have a GitHub account. It'll open up the browser and you'll log in there, and then you'll go back to GitHub Desktop. What a GitHub Desktop does, let me show you with a repo that I don't feel like I need to hide anything. Great, we'll use the 113 one. Okay, I'm gonna get my updates because I've been working on this on different machines, and I'm gonna click View on GitHub to see that page, or maybe I'll just go to Finder for now and look at it. There we go, now it's opening. All right, so here's the repository. So whenever you have a link for GitHub, it's gonna be github.com/username/repository name. So you'll have your username, and you'll probably have a CSC 113 or 134 or 249, 289, any of those, right? So go make one of those. And let's show you how to do that. I'm going to go back here to my browser where I am logged in. I'm going to go to repositories. I'm just at the dashboard. If you're confused, you can just hit the cat to go back home. I'm going to make a new repository, and I would put the course name. So I'm not going to assume what course you're in. Great, good. Course name. So something like CSC 113 or whatever the code is. And then I would explain, of your course. Okay, there you go. You can hear my dog barking because it's 60 degrees and nice and sunny outside, and she's got water, but I'm not paying attention to her for the next 5 minutes. Shameful, I know. All right, you've seen enough of my mug. I'm going to turn off the camera. Let's get back to it so you have the whole screen. Okay, you're going to leave your repository to public. You're going to always add a README. I'm going to tell you a little story why. What's a bag with nothing in it? It's not a bag because it doesn't have it inside, right? Even an empty bag has air in it. So in order to make a repository, it has to have something in it, even if it's just an empty README. Just trust me, turn this on. The easier way to fix this, if you don't click this, is to go delete the repo and say, yes, I agree, and no, I promise I mean to delete this repo, and then come back and do the same thing you did before, but click the on button. So just click this button. I guess you could have the AI do all the work for you, but we'll talk about that. I just want to get started, so I'll create my repository. So here's my repository course name, and I'd like to edit the README. So I could go right here and say it, and something like, my instructor told me. Now, hopefully for your class, it's a little more complex than this, but you've been asked to do something and you might just do it directly in the README. You probably want to write your own message here. I'll let the bot do it. And I'm going to commit that straight to main. And so now I can see, if I look at my repository, I got a bunch of files, only one right now, but it's always going to show you the file called readme.md at the top. So this is a great place to put who you are, what you're doing, things like that. Now let's look at a couple of ways to do this. So one way I could add a file is I could just click create new file and type it in myself, just in this editor, like I just did. Or I could do upload files. So I'm going to go grab a file right now, and let's good. This is, I will put the CSV. That's a great thing. That's not going to mean anything to you guys, but let's say I need to turn this into somebody. So I'd put this here, and I could just leave it as add files by upload, but I'd say uploaded alignment map for Angela, something like that, right? So if I have something I'm doing, maybe I'll put more information down here. Now, you may want to put information here because when you're adding files, it's for a reason, right? So maybe it's for an assignment. Maybe I say something like, oh, this is, module 1 lab. I don't know. Great, good. So I have my file, I've uploaded, I'm gonna commit my changes. And now when I go to this repository, I can see, if I refresh it, I should have a few files. There we go. Now, sometimes you have to refresh the page. And if I go to this, I can see, good, here's my file. Fantastic, good. So that's the file. I could go from preview, looks nice, to just seeing the actual CSV file. Blame is my favorite button. That's going to tell you who made this change, and it was me just now. And you'll later be able to see things like, oh, the file used to work and it doesn't. Let's go push the blame button, which is more about finding out when it broke. If you made a change and now it doesn't work, you probably want to undo that change. Great, that was easy enough. Now let me go to GitHub Desktop and show you how I use this. And again, there's videos online I've posted that will give you like a 20-minute version, but I wanted to give you this version. I'm going to clone a repository I made on my site here on GitHub, on my GitHub. So I'm going to hit refresh. And when I type course, there it is, course name. And it's going to pull it down to my documents folder. For most people, I think it's like documents GitHub. You can move this if you want, but the default location is probably fine. It puts this in your documents folder. And what happens now, this is kind of like OneDrive, where if I go in here, let me just grab another file for comparison. And I'll just grab like this new README. Okay, so let's say I was going to edit the README. Well, I could go in and just work on my machine locally at home and paste it in. And it's going to say something like, are you sure you want to overwrite it? Sure, because it's just a thing. Okay? So I'm just changing files on my local machine like normal. Nothing special. But when I click on the purple cat, which I should do, every like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, what I see is there was a file that changed. And if it was one file, it's like I uploaded the README. And so I'll say new README for this project, CTS 285. So that's not really what it's for. Let's pretend. Whatever your assignment is you're supposed to do, this is the process you use. So I committed it, which is kind of like putting it in a box, and then I hit push, which is like shipping it. If I want to make sure, I could hit fetch, which pulls things down. So, if you're on one machine working and you push things, you come home to the other machine, just hit fetch. It'll probably automatically fetch, but I do that anyway. All right, so 2 ways to add things to GitHub, as we've seen. One way, just don't worry about this file. This is just the example file I uploaded. Okay, so one way is to just upload the file directly to GitHub. And then the other way would be to use desktop. The third way is called code spaces, GitHub code spaces, and that will be a separate video for people who want to use that. If you're coding, it's much easier to do because you can just write your code, run it, and test it in the web browser on their server, and then just commit it from there. But in any case, the goal here, and let me show you one more time. So let's see, here's my file. So let's say I have an assignment, M1 lab or whatever. I have to submit this file. Well, how would I do that? Well, I would go to this here. Now, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to look at this link and you're going to make sure it actually works. So I'm going to go to a different browser and I'm going to paste it in. Maybe that sounds paranoid, but I've seen a lot of people give me a link said github.dev and this stuff, and it doesn't work because it's not the right link. If you copy it, make sure it works. You're good. So now I'd go to Canvas and just take this here, which is when it asks for a web URL. They'll submit that. That's really useful for me and you because when you go into Canvas, it'll just show you a screenshot of what you submitted at the time. So let's say your instructor says, well, you turned this in late, and you can go into the site and see, well, I can see here it uploaded at 11 o'clock and it was due at midnight. So is it late? And you have some evidence rather than just trust me, bro. Okay, that's all I wanted to show you for initial GitHub. There's a lot to learn, but I wanted to keep this short. So thanks for watching and thank you for your cooperation.